Welcome to a blonde, brunette, and a mic podcast. We're just two Seattle besties who keep it real, definitely unfiltered, and are always ready for a laugh. I'm Michele, the blonde.
Hey there, and I'm Jules, the brunette. Join us as we dive into all of the juicy topics like dating, women's health, sex, politics, relationships, and everything in between.
We each have our own unique perspective and don't always see eye to eye, but that just makes our conversations that much more interesting.
That's right. So if you're looking for a podcast that's both entertaining and honest, I think we've got you covered.
Two authentic women,
both with real talk.
Let's go.
Woohoo! Hey, Shelly.
Hey.
We've got our Moscow Mule cups, but they don't have Moscow Mules in them. They have...
It has, it's Tito's and it's soda. We got a little splash of cran mango and a lime.
I know. So it's kind of like our version of a Cosmo.
It's kind of bougie.
Cheers.
Just because
Did you just say bougie?
I did. I like it in this cup.
I know how I am about my cups.
Clink.
Clink.
We got the cheers going on.
Yeah,
so
anyway.
We are ready to go.
Yeah. So we're also cheersing because our socials are looking kind of fun.
Socials are fun. They are expanding. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, please do, and subscribe as well. Tell your friends about us, because if you're enjoying us, maybe they will too. And
right.
We love a bigger community.
We do. And we're having a lot of fun with the comments and people reaching out and stuff. So thank you, everybody, for listening and for being a part of our community. We are enjoying it thoroughly.
Yeah.
And today we're going to have a little special topic today. Does Michele look nervous? She's a little nervous. So as many of you know, there are lots of different types of relationships, right? And we had one episode where we talked about a variety of different kinds between monogamous relationships, long distance relationships, not monogamous relationships, all different kinds, and we're hopefully going to have some people that in a future date that can share some of those lifestyles that we're not super familiar with. But there is one that Michele is very familiar with, and that is the long distance relationship, which I still am in awe of her and her sweetheart, Rick, because I can't believe that they have been doing this for as long as they have.
Yeah.
I would be such a big brat baby.
We go the distance, man.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about that a little bit, because here's the thing. I have heard enough people say to me, that girl's smart. Michele is smart. Because she's got the best of both worlds. She has this amazing guy, and she sees him every, 6 weeks or,
a couple of months.
Every couple of months.
It used to be longer, but, the longer we're together, the more frequent we see each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So they, and being in the same place for, a month at a time or something is going to be kind of interesting when the time happens.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, they kind of learn something about each other every time that they're together. So I had asked Michele if she'd be willing to share a little bit of insight on the long distance relationship that she has, because as I mentioned before, I'm in awe, because I just don't think it would be something that I would be able to do without an end in sight, a long term, without having a goal in sight.
An open-ended type of a situation.
I personally couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then again, maybe I could. At this age, I think we can do a lot of things differently that we thought we couldn't do before.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So why don't you give us a little bit of insight on how this started and how long it's been going on and what you've found over the course of time.
Whew, that was like a 3-part question.
I know. I won't tell them all the deets about, the meeting part, but.
So I was in Alaska for work. He was in Alaska for work. We were both staying at the Sheraton, and I saw him for the first time in the bar. And so I won't go into the squishy story about it, but that's where we met for the first time. And we exchanged information, and, that was March this year. So in another month, it'll be 9 years ago that we met.
Wow.
So he's from the Midwest and I'm from the West here in the Pacific Northwest. We live 2,000 miles apart. And that was in March. He travels for work. And so you know, I saw him now and again. We communicated, and it just evolved
over time.
over time. And obviously, we really enjoyed each other's company. It was interesting and curious for a while. We didn't obviously know each other. We didn't see each other every day. So it was, you know, it was
Mhm.
a process for sure.
I would, the one thing that I've always been so curious about is how you've been able to kind of maintain that day to day type of communication,
Mm-hmm.
because that seems to me like that would be the most difficult thing, because you don't, I mean, day to day life, you have very mundane things really going on in your
Yeah.
life, right?
Yeah.
Things that are happening at work or the drive home or at the grocery, whatever. And those aren't things necessarily that you would chat with somebody and share on a daily basis, right?
Right. Right. Yeah. And if you think about it, you don't either when you're in the same place. I mean,
Right.
you're both going to your separate jobs every day,
Hmm.
doing what you do with you know, 8 hours a day. And obviously, when you're starting in a new relationship, and it wasn't even that, you know, we're just getting to know each
Right.
other from a distance, which is, yeah, it's different than when you're in the same place. But um you know, it was definitely something to look forward to because it's not like we would come home and see each other
Hmm.
or meet each other for happy hour or
Right.
something, that we didn't have that option. And so is texting, you know, there was a lot of texting, and we pretty much talked on the phone every single day, FaceTime.
Hmm.
You know, those are all things that of course have been part of, you know, the beginning and how we're moving through it. And it leaves a lot of open thoughts on, you know, who this person is,
Right.
right?
Did you find that you were learning something new every single time you guys were together?
Um, it I laugh about that because as you know, not initially, that there was of course a dating period,
Hmm.
even at a distance, right? That was just different than what it is when you're in the same place. Um, but you know, as time would go on, and either he would be visiting me or when I would visit him, I kind of started this thing like, so what did you learn about me this time that you didn't know before?
Right.
It's kind of this, you know, little game. And you know, there's always something.
Yeah, there's always something
There's
you're going to
always
learn.
something.
Even how you live and how he lives are different,
Yeah,
you know?
and how you clean up after things, and how you get ready when you go somewhere, and all kinds of different things, you know, little nuances that you don't even realize. But I think when you're at a distance and you don't see each other on a daily basis
Right.
or every other day, and that kind of thing, and after a couple of years, a lot of people now after a couple of years will probably be living together,
Right.
right? So, 2
Or they're
years.
staying overnight at each other's
Yeah, for
places all the
sure,
time, and
all the
that's how they're getting to
time.
know each other,
So,
yeah.
yeah, and, that's not the case here,
Mhm.
obviously. So, you know, just the little things. That's why I trying to go out of your way to recognize things and bring, newness and fun into it as a part of that. Like I said, that's why I would be like, "So, you know, what'd you
Mm,
learn that you didn't know before?"
right.
Um, so yeah.
Did you find that, did you guys ever talk about love languages? Like, how you would like, what works for him? Like, what kind of things would be good for him from a distance? And when you're looking at love languages, like the acts of service obviously are not things necessarily that you could do,
Mhm.
but like the gifting thing,
Right.
you know, but if he's not a person who's really drawn to having gifts, then that wouldn't necessarily be something that resonates, right?
Right. Right.
Whereas you might be someone who's drawn to gifts, but he doesn't do gifts or
You know, it's interesting. We've never like taken a deep dive
uh-huh.
into those things. We recognize what each other's love languages are because we have talked about that. But just even as you're posing that question, it makes me think how when you are at a distance, it
Mhm.
puts a different, it almost puts a different spin on it. when it comes to the love language thing, because, y- you know, especially as we were getting to know each other,
Mhm.
I loved, I loved sending boxes,
Mhm.
right? And we're big on cards, boxes, little something, that you can send, because that brings the connection in,
Right.
and whatever is in those is representative, and speaks to the kind of person that you
Mhm.
are. So it's exposing at the same time different aspects,
Sure.
if that makes sense.
And it probably, especially if like the cards and the gifts and things like that that are getting sent aren't something that, like, say he's comfortable with doing. He has to really make an effort to do that. So
Yeah,
you know
there's
that it's
thought.
even more special.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's thought that goes into different things, and yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And keeping things spicy,
yeah,
right? So
spicy.
let's talk about spicy. So
Oh,
how have you been able to combat the feeling of like missing him and there's loneliness obviously that corresponds with that when you're trying to live your life, but you want to share something that's happening with him, you know?
it's communication can be challenging in any relationship.
Sure.
So add the layer of 2,000 miles, and there you go.
Okay.
So communication is even in different ways, I think, probably, because, if I'm feeling some kind of way, it's actually something that I learned through this relationship, about myself, and the importance of, you know, letting him know if I am feeling some kind of way, even based on, because communication is
Hmm.
huge in a long distance
Yeah.
relationship, right?
I would say probably in some respects
Huge.
even more so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because of the distance. It's not like it's not, this has never happened, but it's not like if he wasn't answering the phone, I can't just like drive my ass over there and knock on
Yeah.
the door, see what's going on,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's not an option.
So there's a level of trust that
There's a level,
obviously.
yeah, a level of trust. The communication is huge, and respect.
Hmm.
The respect, realizing that, yeah, vice versa. He can't just show up on my doorstep, right?
Right.
And so going out of your way to communicate, whereas if you're in a relationship where you're both there, it might feel different, because you can do those things.
Right.
So I don't know if that makes sense, but, what I'm trying to convey. But because you're not able to do those things, the level of respect that comes into play is super important. And I have to say, he's definitely a champ.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
he really has been pretty
yeah,
wonderful about it.
yeah.
I know we've talked about this so many times because
Hmm.
I don't have, like, I haven't really been in that situation until like way, way back when I was uh, dating Brian. We lived apart for 13, 14 months.
Hmm.
He was down in California and I was here. We got engaged halfway through that time period. So whenever we saw each other, it was always this like, you know, wonderful moment kind of a thing where it's like there's no
Yeah,
fighting, there's no arguing, everything's wonderful. It's like this long weekend kind of a
yeah,
thing. And then when you're in the same place, it's like it was a whole different ball game. You
right,
have to kind of learn to live together, and we had to learn each other's kind of idiosyncrasies and just the things that would be pet peeves because we
right.
really hadn't been exposed to them in the same
Sure,
way before.
sure.
So what can you do, or what do you do to kind of combat some of that feeling of being apart, like when you're missing?
Um, I just feel so fortunate being in a relationship like we are, long distance, with technology.
Yeah, that's huge.
FaceTime is huge,
Hmm.
and on top of the distance, we have a 3-hour time
Time
difference,
difference. Yeah, that's right.
right? So when I'm like getting off work, he's done his deal for the evening, and he's getting ready for bed. So
Hmm.
there's a timing thing that comes into play too. And as we've gone on, and our relationship has, solidified, and the trust has deepened, and the respect factors, all of that stuff. It's interesting because you do get to know each other on a day-to-day basis and what those rhythms are, and how to recognize him,
Mm-hmm.
how to recognize the rhythms, and what the other one has going on. Like if we just, have a quick phone call before bed, it's okay. I mean, like, it's late. His day is done. I'm still early
But you
evening.
hadn't remember when you were saying when you very first started seeing each other, you had like this
Oh,
expectation.
well, yeah, we actually I learned early on that expectations in a long distance relationship are not realistic.
Yeah.
And he really helped me recognize that, honestly. Because I think as a woman, we tend to have expectations regardless. And don't get me wrong, there are things
Yeah.
that are a given, right? Um, but we did FaceTime every single day, and it was late at night, and we would into the hours. There were a lot
It's
of
kind of like the
things
real
like,
like fresh dating stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, getting to know each other. But as time has gone on, yeah, we have recognized our rhythm and come to a level of respect, and we know enough about each other now. I would hope so after
Hmm.
9 years, to where it's all good.
Hmm.
It's all good.
You're just so chill about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it hasn't always been chill.
Mm-mm.
There's been things and moments, and it's like, trying to figure it out, and coming to the place to where you can feel chill, if
Right.
you will, about
Well,
it.
kind of like whatever will be, will be.
Yeah.
Whatever the future holds, it
Hmm.
will hold. And those are the things we've talked about where I've been like, and it's our personalities are so different because I
Yeah.
just really can't fathom what you've explained to me or what you're doing because it's not something that I when I did that before, long, 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 long time ago, there was an end in sight,
Right.
and it was a pretty short end in sight. So I would probably be okay with it if
Hmm.
I knew that there was like an end in sight. Because especially, where men are concerned is men and women are very different,
Hmm.
and he's a good-looking guy,
Yeah.
and, you have to be in a place where you are very trusting of his, intentions, and obviously, he has to trust your intentions too, because
Sure.
there's been plenty of times when we're out and stuff, and I'm like, "Stay away, she's taken,"
Yeah.
"Leave her alone,
Yeah.
she's fine."
Yeah.
So, what do you think some of the misconceptions are out there of long distance relationships that we can kind of enlighten some people about?
I think some of the givens when it comes to long distance relationships, I think there is the idea that they're doomed.
Hmm.
Why would you even put in the time and effort? Is it really going to go anywhere? Where is it going to get you? That either or the man or the woman, when you're in a long distance relationship, they're going to cheat.
Hmm. Well,
And
that happens when people live in the same
that happens,
place.
exactly.
Yeah.
That happens no matter what,
Yeah.
right? So it's just really your mindset and getting to know your person,
Hmm.
truly getting to know your person, and recognizing things about them, patterns, consistent, just like I was saying, just how we live our everyday life and
Right.
what we have going on. You know, he has a family, I have a family, I have grandkids, we have
Hmm.
all these things that are going on. Uh,
And you've started
with
to weave those things together.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely he has two amazing daughters, and
Mhm.
he's so dedicated to them, and it's
Yeah.
really cool to see how well they've done. But a lot of that is a testimony to him,
Sure.
and the kind of effort he's put into that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they don't live even in the same state that he lives,
Right.
so he's supporting them from a distance, but
Mhm.
his home where he lives in
Yeah.
Indianapolis is where they grew up. And so that's kind of the home base now.
Yeah.
And so that's where he's at. And he's been here, obviously several times, and he was like, "There's no way I would ever live here. It's too expensive." Which is true. If you compare
Yeah.
where we're at compared to Indianapolis,
Mhm.
I was like, "Oh, no problem. You can get a shack for 600,000 here,
Yeah.
if you move way out of the city,"
Right.
kind of a thing. Well, it's not
Yeah.
that bad, but yeah, it is kind of that bad. Um but it's interesting to see, the differences in terms of lifestyle. Like,
Yeah.
I'm always like, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? And Michelle's like, well, just kind of wait and see what happens. And
Yeah.
I love that about you, because I admire that, really. It's like
Mhm.
you're just kind of doing what you do. And I think the timing in terms of where we are in our lives, it kind of makes sense. And we've been in conversations with people in groups and things where they're like, oh my God, Michelle, this is like the perfect scenario.
Yeah.
You've got, this amazing guy, but you got your own time. You can do your own thing. You kind of live independently, but then you spend all this time with him and get to
Mhm.
do fun things and everything. And, and you're perfectly happy and settled that way.
I have to say that we're going on 9 years, and the longer time goes on, the more it's getting, I'm not going to say difficult, but it's like I was saying, we see each other more often now
Yeah.
because it is harder to
Well,
be
and it's
apart.
quality time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's real
harder to be
quality time.
apart, and because we are starting to weave those things in amongst each other and with our families in a way. Yeah, there's just more of that want,
Mhm.
so it's almost you move through these phases. It's definitely been phases, but it doesn't, just because you're at a distance doesn't mean the other one's going to cheat. Just because you're at a distance doesn't mean that it's doomed. Like, think of all the things that are possibilities,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
in that
I mean, if you
situation.
were waiting to meet somebody that is, local, or even if, just even in happenstance or whatever, meeting
Mhm.
someone who's local, is the likelihood is that, there are so many other people that are out
Yeah.
there in this world, and you guys met in such a real serendipitous way,
Yeah.
that it's kind of cool,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and it took me a long time to, after I was divorced and figuring out who the heck I am
Mhm.
and moving through all that. And then you kind of come to a place, do I have it all figured out? Hell no.
Mm-mm.
But you get to a place where, okay, I think I have figured this out and what I need to do and who I am and how I'm moving through life as a single woman with a family
Mm.
and all the stuff, right? So it takes you a long time to figure that out. And now having this other person, it's definitely just like life in general, the phases you go through, so is the relationship,
Yeah.
right? Um, and just like any relationship, there's all the things. There's patience, there's communication, there's understanding, there's flexibility,
Mm.
there's sacrifice. There's a lot. And I just feel like for me, it's even more warranted in a way when you're doing this at a distance, trying to bring it all together. And
You almost have to work harder.
there's more forethought, I think, that goes into
Mhm.
things in all aspects. There's got to be more forethought for me anyways. And yeah, they're just it's 9 years later, and it's still kind of new because we have more phases that we're going to
Going through.
be going through, right? So it's kind
I
of
know I was
exciting.
saying to Michelle, I was telling these guys, I was saying to Michelle that, okay, I think I'm always like trying to plan to make sure she's happy, right? I think maybe you guys need to like be in the same place for like a month or 2 months at a time and really get a feel for it, like work remotely or something and get a feel for it, because every day is kind of like it's like vacation, when you guys see each other, it's a week at a
Just,
time.
you were saying that, and
Yeah.
and it is true.
Yeah.
Like, when we see each other, it's like we're playing house because
Hmm.
we haven't seen each other, and it's great. And but it's kind of every day too.
Hmm.
We don't make it this big to do
No.
when we see each other. We're just doing normal everyday
I mean,
shit.
you guys go to Costco
Yeah, we
when
do.
he's here.
We do everyday shit
Yeah.
too. So there's that. But keep an open mind about it.
Yeah.
For sure. Just, anybody out there that is considering it, it's not a bad thing.
No.
It's not doomed. And there are really great possibilities. Depends on the people,
Right.
for sure.
Hmm.
But with the right mindset and, you know, depending on what you want,
Are those your words of wisdom?
There's my words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's turned out it's actually I love it. I can't wait till we can be together all the time.
Yeah.
That'll come. That'll come.
So let me ask you this. 9 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
when you guys first met, and then even like a year into it, 2 years into it, when you were just kind of trying to feel it all out.
Yeah.
Did you think it would be 9 years later?
I mean, I would say no.
If you knew that, what would you have thought back then?
I don't want to say no, but it's like I don't know that I thought that far ahead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like because of all the dynamics and things that you're trying to figure out and navigate and maneuver and come together on, right? And honestly, a couple years into it is still how could I align it with somebody that's in the same proximity, right? A couple years into it for a long distance relationship like ours is probably like 6 months into a dating relationship when you're living in the same place, right? If even something like that, right? So 2 years into it was still just like really new. How do you know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a big leap of faith. Leap of faith. Yeah.
He's worth it.
He's worth it.
Worth it. Yeah.
She was just saying today, she was like, I don't know what we were talking about. And she was sitting up at the counter and I walk in and she goes, I am just so in love with him. And I'm like, it's the cutest thing ever.
I did say that.
I love that for you. And I thought it was kind of a cool thing to share because I think a lot of women, in particular men too, but women are a bulk of our audience, they're women. They're curious about this.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like having the best of both worlds.
Keep your options open, ladies.
Yeah.
Keep your options open.
Especially if you're used to living the life the way you choose to live.
Yep.
And the things that you choose to do and you don't want to deviate from that. This might be a really good option for you if you meet someone who's really special.
There are some, really good men, I'm sure, outside of wherever it is you're living. And go explore.
Yeah.
Keep your mind open. Keep your options open.
Go explore.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Michelle's out having fun.
Yeah.
And on that note, thank you everybody for joining us. And I hope you learned a little bit from Michele.
Tidbit.
Tidbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long distance relationship.
We're not even having to cut any of this out.
No.
I didn't make her get into all the deets. All the
deets.
Dirty deets.
Keeping it high level out of respect for my guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, did you have a ring the bell?
I think you do.
I do?
Yeah.
Why don't you do this one? Because
there we go.
The start of ring the bell.
Is. So here we go. Deal breakers in the bedroom, Jules. So I've heard that socks, if your man wears socks to bed, is that a deal breaker? I'm sure there's others, but let's just talk about that for a second. Socks in bed, is that a deal breaker? Guys or gals?
Guys or gals. Okay. So I was told one time that it provides good traction. I call total bullshit on that.
Okay.
I think it's just
socks.
Yes.
Where are those feet that we need traction, man?
Thank you very much. I think it was an excuse. No, I don't like that. I don't like that. I mean, would I kick someone out of bed for it? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I'd maybe ask them to take them off.
Right. Well, and this kind of ties in with, because there are times I wear socks to bed. I'll put, foot cream and like lotions and because I want, my feet to be soft. And then I put the socks on and you sleep in them.
Yeah.
Right. If my guy is here,
you don't do that.
I'm not going to sleep with the socks on my feet.
No.
So that's wherein some of those things that you might not know.
So the day to day,
as time goes, that's
not only the socks,
thing,
it's the not shaved legs, it's all the stuff, right?
But you know what? I'd be fine with wearing socks. I think he would be too. If he,
I think it just depends on how freezing cold it is outside.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be my first preference. But again, I'm not that.
Can you think of any other bedroom deal breakers? Say that 10 times fast.
No, not really.
That would be a deal breaker. No.
I do you have an example?
No, I was just wondering if anything was, coming to top of mind. Like what do you like it when men sleep in underwear? Or do you mind it if they sleep in full pajamas? Would that be a deal breaker if they did it all the time?
How old are you? 2?
Let me button up my
I know.
jammies.
I've always worn stuff to sleep in.
Yeah.
Like tank top, pair of
Something.
shorts.
Some people sleep naked.
Yeah, I know. I do. And so I'm all about like my sheets. I want my sheets to be like in really good shape, and I
Yes.
like good quality sheets, and
Uh-huh.
got to wash them a lot. But yeah, the sleeping naked, I don't know. I mean, I will, but it's not like my first inclination.
Right.
And I think a lot of that comes from having kids, right? Because they're coming in, bowling open the door, Mom.
100%. I didn't even think about that, but you're totally right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally
that's
right.
basically you start out that way, and then you just kind of keep going that way. But I don't like to be cold, so that's what a lot of it is for me.
That's a whole other thing, right? You're talking, you're bringing up things now that are popping in my head that maybe we have to save it for another ring the bell sesh. But like trying to have sex as a parent.
Oh yeah,
right.
That's where the electronics come in handy.
That the child's gonna walk in and all
and
of
get
that.
a lesson in life.
All the things. Anyways,
did you ever walk in on your parents?
No.
Really?
No.
I did one time. One time, and I was maybe.
Did any of your kids ever walk in on you?
No.
Me neither.
No, never.
Not that I know.
Well, if they did, they didn't say anything. But no, I remember walking in one time on my parents, and now I know. At the time, I didn't probably know, but yeah, there was that.
Real life people.
Yep.
We're all just out there living real life. Everybody does it.
And on that note,
yep, we're out.
Yeah. Peace out. Thank you, people.
All right. Bye.
Have a good day.